Releasing a month before the hugely innovative critical favorite Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild would seem like a death sentence to any competing open world game, or at least that was the idea that Nintendo had until a little game called Horizon came along. Most open world games were mediocre and lifeless before this time, often not knowing what they wanted to do, feeling empty, being filled with glitches, and overall people had become tired of them by around 2015. Then Breath of the Wild was shown off and had gotten many people on board with its innovative gameplay and fantastic level of freedom, and around the same time a new IP from Guerrilla Games was also showcased to a lot of interest. It seemed that these two might resurrect the ashes of a worn-out genre, and neither seemed to disappoint, getting rave reviews and awards up the wazoo. Breath of the Wild was the killer app for the Nintendo Switch and pushed Nintendo back into the game after many lost interest from the Wii U. Horizon, on the other hand, was not expected to even stand a chance against the behemoth of a new Zelda game that was on the horizon, yet it seemed that it did. Sure, it was generally agreed upon by many that it wasn't as good as Link's first open world outing, but it was certainly damn close and better in a few key areas even. After I had absolutely adored Breath of the Wild in 2017, 2 years later, I finally gave the game a chance and got a copy for a mere $15. Within the first hour, I was impressed in every way and in love with the game, especially considering it was the best looking game I had ever played and really the first on a newer console with a large emphasis on story. I love the gameplay so much, I love the world, and I especially love the visuals. I played through it, got the platinum, and even 100%. This, of course, was all before I had played games like Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2. I played those games and my eyes were opened. I started to love PlayStation as much as I had before, and started to play games with complex stories more. I absolutely was in love with tons of Sony exclusives at that point, but slowly started to remember more of Horizon's flaws than strengths. I decided to replay it for this review and also to see if I still loved it or would like it less after having more gaming experiences. And what did I think overall? Well, of course I loved the visuals. What, did you really think I was going to spoil the whole review now? While the characters may not look the best and may not always be animated the best, they certainly add a lot to the game, have interesting personalities, and they all feel different. I don't think a single character, even one in the background that doesn't do anything, looked the same through the whole game, and trust me, this is a big game. Not to mention the cutscenes do look great, the machine's awesome and intricate, and the landscapes with their nature and ecosystems are the highlight of this game as a technical achievement. Everything is beautiful and realistic and really feels like it took a lot of work. It doesn't feel empty or shallow, but rather realistic, while still sprinkled with interesting tribal areas and patterns completely unique to this game. Every part of how the game looks and sounds is very detailed, with a gorgeous color palette and tons of sounds. For example, you can wear a simpler outfit and it will make noises that replicate flowing cloth, whereas a more metallic armor set will clank and ring as you run fast. A beautiful detail that helps the game feel alive. While presentation is important, any game can have that while still not being good because the gameplay is the most vital aspect. I don't want any of that Neil Suckman SJW propaganda good story here. Okay, of course I'm joking about that, but the gameplay does obviously need to be judged. The start of the game is really interesting due to the mystery and shock factor of every mechanic, though it is quite slow. Then, once you hit the middle segment of the game and everything opens up, the world is your canvas to prove yourself and witness all that the game has to offer. Fighting the vicious machines never gets old, since so many weapons and attacks are at your disposal that you must think creatively. Sure, you can just fire arrows and attack with the spear on every enemy for a while, but eventually you'll have to think creatively and use your imagination to take down the bigger foes. The human enemies have a great way of being creative and going after you, while the machines straight up chase the player to the ends of the earth just to achieve their instinctual want to murder Aloy. Every strategy can work on certain machines, which means there isn't always an exact correct answer to each combat encounter. You have to use everything, and you have to be relentless if you want to succeed in the arena against mankind's destroyers. Flying, swimming, running, or digging, each machine will fight you in a different way, and because of that, the game has lots of variety in the open world. And to keep it from feeling empty, they made the machines so vicious. If the machines weren't as well programmed as they are here, the whole game would likely not need to be open world, but instead, their vicious attacks and fast chase speeds will prevent them from just being obstacles to run around. You will have to fight them, and if you come unprepared or don't start fighting instead of running quick enough, you may be dead on the spot. It may be frustrating at first, but the combat will grow on anybody not immediately sold as long as they have some patience and resilience. Even when you have discovered all the machines and you think the game has no ideas left, it comes in and surprises you with something brand new and totally epic. The structure of the game is fitting as well, since the middle segment has a slower portion of the story present, yet the world is open for gameplay to entertain you. In the meantime, before you get into the final part. In those last 10 to 15 hours, though, the story goes into complete ultimate sicko mode and becomes hog wild, throwing the payoff you have been waiting for out with such a grace that the depressing reveal of what truly happened with Project Zero Dawn is officially launched itself near the top of my list of favorite video game story moments. The first time I played the game, I liked the story a lot, but didn't watch all the cutscenes or read any of the lore. But this time around I did, and there are so many great layers to the world, such as all the unique cultures and tribes, the missions that actually change completely based on your choices during them, and the extended ideas such as the battle for Meridian and the oppression of the Nora. Gaia Prime and Project Zero Dawn are fantastic bits of the story. Of course, I love characters such as Silence, who remains mysterious, and Erend, who is a lovable, yet imperfect ally. The reveal of Operation Enduring Victory hit me like a sack of bricks, though. The idea of all humankind sacrificing itself to give future humans a chance impresses me so much, while also emotionally impacting me. Even if they were lied to, them doing this for others is so touching. It proves that all the destruction in Aloy's world is truly an issue. The humans fought to be altruistic and selfless, and yet the recreation and reformation of their species still oppresses women, oppresses certain tribes, deceits, and lies. It proves that the last resort is not always a good option. The finale does a great job of tying up loose ends, and all the major characters got the perfect storylines, even the ones who only appeared in side missions. The difficulty is perfect, despite some annoying bits. If you can think on your feet and master the arsenal, you will be able to accomplish things that make you feel like an unstoppable warrior. And the game takes it a step further by rewarding those who research the machines and humans that Aloy goes up against. The only flaws I can cite are with the animation, the sometimes confusing inventory, and the climbing. I don't actually care about the climbing that much though, since it doesn't feel boring to me. But the fact that the grips that you're allowed to grab onto blend into the rocks very well makes it hard to not just glitch the game when you can't find the right spot to get where you're going. I think in the sequel they could change the color to something that sticks out like red so that I would know where to go, either that or they could incorporate the free climbing present in Breath of the Wild. Tall necks that reveal more on the map, bandit camps, corrupted zones, hard but fun to explore cauldrons, awesome collectibles, all add even more to the game as a whole, and with a high-tech focus on your side, mysteries and investigations are actually fun in an open-world game for the first time. Skill points can be used to get tons of great new abilities, and they all help to make chaining attacks together super fun and smooth. Using materials to craft ammo is great at making you fight enemies more, and overriding machines is possibly one of the coolest things ever. With smaller machines, the stealth really just serves to annihilate them in one hit, but with the larger ones, turning them against each other is a fantastic mechanic that I had a ton of fun with, and it becomes very useful with a few key species. Certain machine overrides will lead to a mount that Aloy can ride, and it's much faster than going on foot. I would have liked some sort of permanent type of ride, but this works too because of the added challenge of obtaining one and using its unique attacks against enemies. Not to mention, you can do most of the things you'd like while on the mount, so it serves as far more than just a sped up mode of movement, and can be very beneficial to certain encounters. Certain machines and human enemies have heavy weapons, and these are also fantastic additions. They pack a punch and can wipe out some of the most formidable foes in the game within minutes. But these machines are vicious and will not let you just take their weapons. They are literally called heavy weapons, so they take a while to pick up and you move quite slowly with them. Because of this, they act the same way as the spear does, with a perfect weight behind your every move. Yeah, it's clear to anyone that with god-tier combat and mechanics, a great soundtrack, fantastic details, beautiful visuals, expansive lore, charismatic and likable characters, and a true piece of art for its story, Horizon Zero Dawn is probably, good. Though there are flaws present, and truckloads of things that could be reworked or fixed in the upcoming sequel, everything else is so phenomenal and well done that the game doesn't really deserve the title of great or good, but rather fantastic. Pushing a story about altruism, mystery, preservation, and knowledge isn't an easy task, and how well it turned out is very impressive. Aloy has been created to help the world, as Elizabeth says in the end. She is an instrument for good in the world. The real enduring victory can only happen if people stop fighting and finally join together. The final boss is a triumph, with everyone coming together in a battle that does in no way feel unimportant. Important! Just as the Faros scientists had to work hard for the future that now exists, everyone in Aloy's world had to fight bravely to prevent history from repeating itself, which is the great struggle of humanity. To prevent suffering, we must prevent what's happened millions of times before. This game is a legitimate masterpiece, and I am proud to award it with a 5 out of 5. out of 5 Ballardians.